up, y'all? My name is Tim Stafford. I am from Cool Speak. I'm coming to you from Chicago, Illinois, New York Gear Up. I love New York Gear Up. So I'm very excited to be working with y'all. I'm excited for a couple reasons. One, you know, that time in your life, you are a sophomore in college. You're making some decisions about where to go, where to move on with your life. I am also excited to do this because I was a community college graduate myself. I went to community college. I ended up going to a 4-year university. Did a little bit beyond that. So I'm going to be talking to you about a few things that I kind of wish that maybe I would have done while I was in my sophomore year to help me out when I made my decision to move on to a 4-year university, because it goes by super fast. I'm sure high school felt like boom, 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 boom. College, especially only 2 years, it's going to go super fast. So as you begin your sophomore year, it's a great time to talk about this. It's a great time to get ready. So let's get into it. So, when you are a sophomore and you are thinking about, what's next? Where do I go? What do I do? Well, hopefully, some folks, they get that 2-year degree and that's where that's good. That's where they want to go. I know a lot of people who did that. We're going to talk, and I'm going to focus more on, how do I get from that? How do I make that transition from being in a community college to going to a 4-year university? Because it can seem intimidating. That university or that college may seem much larger than the community college world in which you've been living. So we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to kind of help you out with some things, just kind of let you know what to do, how to go about it, and just to make the process pretty easy. So your goal, if you are going to be entering a 4-year university, is you want to leave that community college and you want to go and enter as a junior. That means you have got all your credits, you're good to go, you are, boom, a junior, you hit the floor running. And that's cool for a lot of reasons. The first thing is, I went back and I looked at what my community college is charging for hours right now. And my community college, a credit hour costs about $150. Then I compared that with the 4-year university that I went to, and their credit hours were closer to like $500-$600. That is a massive, that's like 3-4 times as much. So you want to make sure that when you are going, you're entering as a junior, so you don't have to make up any classes that you can take at that community college level. Take them, or else you're going to be paying so much more when you get to that other end, right? If you're not sure, well, this is what you do. And this is what I wish I would have done. We go to community college and sometimes it may not feel like real college. That's what people always say. That's not real college. It is, but it's hard to feel like that because I was living at home with my parents. I was still going to work my part-time job while my friends were going to 4-year universities. They were living in dorms. They were going to frat parties. They were doing all the fun stuff, right? So I kind of felt alone. I felt kind of isolated. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do this all on my own. Nobody's going to stop me. I can do this all. And what I did is I kind of isolated myself and I didn't seek help when I should have. Because there are people who work at your school who want to help you get to that next level. There are people whose job is to help you make that transition that you want to get so that you can get the success and you can make the money, you can get the career, you can get the job, you get all the things you want. There's people at your school that will help you do that. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do right now is you got to make sure that look up and see who is your academic counselor at your school. Who is the person? Because you're going to ask them a couple things. The first thing is they're going to break it down for you, right? They're going to break down what it is as far as GPA. They're going to break down what kind of credits, and they're also going to give you the options of the schools that are out there. See, for me, I was like, well, I kind of like to go to that school. I kind of like to go to this school. I didn't really know about what their GPA minimum requirement was or anything like that. What your counselor will do is they'll break down, because it's, you may feel like, oh, my GPA is a little low. It's not too late. As going into your sophomore year, you're only halfway. You're only halfway through your community college career. So there is plenty of time to get that GPA up. It's not going to happen maybe, overnight, but it will happen. You slowly start doing better in your classes, you're going to be able to get that up, because you might be looking at a school and it's like, oh, well, their minimum requirement is 3.2. Oh, I'm at a 2.9. That point 0.3 is not impossible as long as you get on it now, right? So they let you know, hey, this is what you need. They'll also let you know what credits they will take. Like I said before, you don't want to be retaking classes, or conversely, you don't want to take classes that you don't need to take. You don't want to pay, even though you're paying less at a community college, you don't want to be paying for a class at all if you don't have to. So they'll help you kind of sort through those things, and they'll give you a plan. And we're going to kind of go over a plan for your sophomore year kind of towards the end of this, but they're going to help you kind of formulate that and get you on your way. On your own, what you can do is you can start researching some of the schools around you, and however you want to do that. Maybe you just go online and you look at schools that are close to you. Maybe you talk to people and you're like, okay, well, tell me about your college. Tell me about your university. What's so cool about it? Also, ask them maybe what's not so cool about it. See what you can do to figure out. All right, this could work for me. This might not work for me. Get as much information as you can. And the internet is a great resource when you're looking at, look at the college's websites. You can read university reviews. You can learn about the teachers. You can learn about the course study. You can learn about the conditions in the cafeteria, which is crucial if you're going to be living on campus. You can find out all that stuff. So start doing some research so that you can make sure that, all right, when I bounce, when I get to that next level, I'm in the right spot. But, these schools, colleges want you there. If a college does not have students, it ceases to be a college. They will not be able to function because they have nobody to serve. So colleges want you there, but you have to prove that you are academically capable, and that you are academically competitive, that you're going to go to that school and you're going to be able to commit to, hey, I'm going to do my classes. I'm going to be able to get that degree, and I'm going to take care of business. Schools want kids that are going to be like that. So talk to your counselor, because your counselor is going to tell you what you need. They're going to tell you the expectations, and they're going to kind of put you on the path. They might tell you about this thing called an articulation agreement. Now, I don't know if you've heard of these, but your community college has probably connections with universities, and especially a lot of state schools, but probably some private universities too. And what this does, this is a way of, it's kind of like a little agreement, right? And because again, colleges want you there. They're not just going to go and grab you and put you there. You still have to put yourself through the process, but they will make it as easy as possible. So there are almost like pipelines from your community college to these different schools and universities. And they will tell you, hey, we got you on this. We got you on your transcripts. We got all these things. They'll kind of make it easier. And sometimes they'll even come in to the school and meet you. There's events where they'll bring in the schools. Sometimes you could get accepted right on the spot. It might not be the school that you're really interested in, but those are possibilities. So talk to your counselor about, what schools you already have an agreement with, so that you can make that transition even easier, because it's a big deal, right? Going to a 4-year university is not an easy thing. It's not an easy decision. So you have to go ahead and you have to, you have to take the initiative. You have to step forward, but they will help you and people will guide you along the way, right? So at your sophomore year, this is the thing that I did the worst, and I'm still working on it, to be honest with you, is planning for the future, right? You have about almost one full academic year to get ready for that 4-year university. It's not just going to happen. If you start thinking about these things in May, it's going to be too late, because schools are going to stop accepting applicants. You're going to have to wait. And sometimes if you wait, you might not be going back. So you want to make sure that you do this in a timely manner. Don't waste any time on this. And it can seem intimidating, but it's not if you just kind of break it down into a few steps. Okay. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to give you step number 1. Okay. This is step number one, what I want you to do. Make a final decision about your major. What do you want to study? If you go on to a 4-year university, what is it that you want to get into? And if you don't know yet, again, talk to your academic advisor, but then talk to yourself. Look through the classes that you've taken. What are the classes that you really enjoyed taking? Because if you can decide, you know what, I want my major to be, let's say, psychology. If you're looking at schools, well, if that one doesn't have a psychology department, you may not want that one, right? So you want to make sure you know what your major is, so then you could move on to the next steps of really finding your school. When you find your major, then that's going to help you decide a whole sorts of things. It's going to help you decide not only what you want to study, but it's also going to help you decide what classes to take so that they will transfer and they will back up your major, so you don't have to take any other prereqs. You want to get those out of the way. That's the big thing. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. So make sure that you go and you make a final decision about that major. Talk to people in the field. Talk to people who have already gone into that field of study, and ask them, like, hey, what are some things that you liked? What are some things that you didn't like? What are some things that you enjoyed about it? What are some things you don't enjoy about it? And then you can determine from there if that is going to fit your goals, your needs, or your lifestyle. So that brings us to number 2. Okay. Once you pick your major, you can narrow down your college picks, because like I said, hey, if I want to study this and I got school A, school B, school C, they don't have it, well, I'm going to start looking at school D, school E, because now I'm able to decide. If there's multiple schools that have your major that you can go to, that you can look at, this is when you start to really get into the research. So if it's close to you, if you have the access, go visit that college. Colleges want people to come to their school, right? So they're very inviting. Call ahead, or maybe just go walk around if it's an open campus, but meet with their counselor, meet with an advisor for them. When I was trying to figure out what teaching program I wanted to get into, just to get a feel, I called places like, hey, can I talk to your counselor? Talk to them. Some I talked on the phone, some I went and met in person, and they broke it down for me. Here's what you need. Here's what it's going to take. Here's what it's going to do, right? So do some college visits. Talk to people who go there. There's some online communities where you could find out, like, all right, this is somebody that I can talk to that went there and can kind of walk me through it. And there's other things that might take into account. Maybe the money, it may be the transportation, whatever it is, whatever are the needs for you in particular, that's what you have to try to figure out. So start narrowing it down to maybe like 2 or 3 schools as opposed to 6 or 7. So you can really focus on the needs for that school. All right. So then number 3, which kind of goes into all that, is gather all of your financial aid information. Okay. Look up scholarships. Start looking at the applications. FAFSA has a deadline. FAFSA is not always there. If you miss that deadline, you're going to be out all of that money. Start gathering your financial aid information so that it's not a scramble. So many folks wait and wait and wait. I'm one of those folks. I waited so long. I almost missed deadlines, and I did miss a couple. I missed out on some things just because I was like, well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. Again, talk to your counselor. Talk to somebody that has been through it. Talk to your Gear Up staff, because they'll probably, hey, here's what I did. They will walk you through it. They will help you. It can seem very intimidating, and I get it. I hate paperwork, but if you have somebody to help you, to kind of shepherd you through, again, it's going to be a lot easier and you're going to get a lot better results from that. All right. So as you're doing that, you want to go to number 4. Okay. So for number 4 is keep track of the deadlines. Okay. Keep track of those. So one thing that I did is I used to have a filing system, and my filing system was basically this. I would print stuff out. I'd put them in this box, and I would be like, oh, well, I'll get to it. It doesn't work. You have a phone. You have a calendar in your phone. Give yourself realistic deadlines to get that done. And don't let the deadline be the day that it's due. Have your deadline be a month before or a couple weeks before. It's almost like the snooze alarm, right? We don't necessarily wake up when the alarm goes off, but we hit that snooze and it gets us there. So maybe not that first warning, but that second warning before it's too late. Do that. Get your phone, get it all set up, set email reminders, set up, get your counselor or get a buddy that will text you and say, hey, we need to get this done. This is going to be due soon. Make sure you have a way of keeping track of those deadlines because there's going to be a bunch and you don't want to get them mixed up and confused. You don't want to be like, oh, well, this one's due October 1st and that one's due November 1st. And really, it was the opposite way. So one got in, but the other didn't. Keep track of those deadlines so that you can get the most out of it. Then we've got another one. We've got number 5. This is probably my least favorite part. I have gotten so many copies of my transcripts. Talk to your Gear Up staff about it. But you have to do it. Your transcripts, they let the college know what you've been doing. It lets them know about grades, about attendance. It's really that kind of like base level that they are able to get to know you. Now, what we didn't talk about is also that goes into this. It's not just your transcripts. You want to be working on your essays. You want to be working on your applications because the essays, maybe I'm kind of like borderline. I mentioned a school that had a minimum GPA of 3.2. Well, maybe I have a 3.2, but this might not be a guarantee. So I want to really make sure that I spend some time and I give them a really good essay to really push through. And that will take me to the next level of being accepted into the university, right? And then that brings us to our final point, okay? And that is number 6, all right? So for number 6, create a backup plan, all right? We never want to go to the backup plan, right? We always want plan A. We want the good stuff, but sometimes we got to go to plan B, or sometimes we got to go to plan C. And that's not a failure. That's not a defeat. That's just, all right, hey, we got to switch it up. And that's how life is. If everything went perfectly, life wouldn't be any fun. We got to figure out how are we going to overcome these things. So have a backup plan in case you don't get accepted into the school that you want. Apply to few schools, not a ton, but that's why we said narrow it down to 2 or 3. Apply to those 3 schools. You've got your number 1 school, you got your number 2 school, and your number 3 school. If you've been working with your counselor and you've been honest about with yourself about your GPA, about what you're capable of, about what you can do, then there is no reason why those schools should not accept you. So do that. Make sure that you have a backup plan though, so that, hey, if the first one, because who knows, maybe they just happen to get a ton of applicants, but you've got this backup, you're good, you can rock and roll. The importance of all this is being prepared is, hey, time and money. Those are the 2 things that this is going to save you, time and money. You don't want to go to a university and you don't want to have to waste time taking classes that you already could have taken, right? You don't want to waste time in community college taking classes that aren't even going to transfer over to your university. So spend some time, work it out, figure out that major, figure out your school, and then that is going to start to help you kind of navigate that and narrow it down so that you can just hit the floor running in your junior year and you can find the success that you all deserve. So New Year Gear Up, I thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me. I hope that everything is going extremely well for you on the East Coast. I hope you are starting off a fantastic school year. Much love to y'all. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. Good luck, and I will see you soon. Peace.